In 2006, Criterion Games were known for one thing: their high-octane, explosive arcade racing series Burnout. But that would soon change, even if only temporarily. The question was asked, what if Criterion could do for first-person shooters what they did for the racing genre? The answer came in the form of Black, a shooter so loud and in your face that only the developer of Burnout could have pulled it off. The purpose of the game was simple: to take the explosive action we had come to know and love in Hollywood movies and put you in the middle of it time and time again. As a result, a great emphasis was placed on the game's presentation. The sound effects and graphics are some of the best on either the PS2 or Xbox, and the developer decided to make the guns the stars of the show. Indeed, a painstaking amount of detail went into each and every weapon, from the thunderous sound effects to the animations. And in the end, Criterion delivered a first-person shooter unlike any that had come before it. The game tells the story of Jack Keller, a Black Ops agent being interrogated about a terrorist organization known as Seventh Wave. As he tells the story of what happened, you are the one playing it out in a series of flashbacks across varying locations. From city streets to a farm, to a graveyard, a bridge, and even an asylum, you must shoot your way through hordes of masked men aiming to take you down. Honestly, it's about as generic as plots get, and you can easily ignore the story to no ill effect, except that the cutscenes cannot be skipped until your second time through a level. The gameplay is pretty straightforward too. You can't sprint, you can't jump. In fact, you can't even open doors. You have to shoot them with your gun. All you need to know how to do is pull the trigger and pull off headshots, because the enemies can take forever to kill otherwise. Speaking of enemies, they range from your typical assault rifle toting grunts to turtle-like guards with riot shields, and even heavily armed shotgunners. The AI is practically brain dead, but they are fun enough fodder to keep you entertained. Thankfully, despite the game's one-dimensional approach, Criterion keeps it feeling relatively fresh throughout. The levels may be linear, but the amount of explosives everywhere forces you to constantly be thinking about strategy. You might find yourself luring enemies to a crate of TNT, or realizing there's a perfectly placed landmine beneath an enemy's feet. And that's ultimately what makes this game stand out. Sure, all the fireballs and smoke clouds are cool to look at, but this isn't just a loud, generic shooter. Those elements turn it into something unexpectedly dynamic. No two firefights are ever the same, and even if you have every nook and cranny memorized, there's almost always something that will still catch you by surprise. The action is always engaging, and that's the main reason I think it still holds up today. If you've never played Black, that's a shame. It was a fine example of something we don't see very often. The developer stepping out of its comfort zone and succeeding at doing something completely different. It's available on Xbox Live. If you have an Xbox 360, I recommend highly you check it out. Or if you have an original system, you can still find the game for less than $10. I definitely think you should still find a way to play it. Until next time.